What's up, everybody? Hey, this is Phil from Walmart. Right Lane Truckin coming at you. It is Tuesday evening, and I'm on my way home. I made it back to Sacramento, California, and I'm in my personal vehicle driving home. Therefore, I can film and drive because I'm off the clock and going home. It's Miller time! Yeah, I got about a 68-mile drive, and my gas tank says 70 miles till empty. Can I make it home? You think I can make it home? I might have to stop on the way, get some fuel, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Sorry, got a guy, another truck, just made a left, now he's making a right, and making a right, maybe, yes, there he goes. Alright, so I'm giving him the room so he can make his right turn. That's what truckers do, even though I'm not in my truck. Alright, so my day, last night, I didn't post it till just a little while ago, but last night I left you. I was in Sacramento and laid over in our yard with the Manteca store and Modesto store on the menu for today. And so I got up, got going, got my coffee, got my shower, got everything going, and got on the roads. So after I got on the road, I got a message before that saying that there was a bad accident right at the I-80, I-5 interchange, and it started around 2 o'clock in the morning. It's now 8 something in the morning. I figured it'd be okay, and then check the radio and check the news, and sure enough, it was taken care of and traffic was flowing, so it was good to go that direction. So I got on, went to I-5 south to Manteca. Anybody that doesn't know where Manteca is, you just don't know. They got a Great Wolf Lodge now. The Great Wolf Lodge. If you don't know about Great Wolf Lodge, look it up. They've got an indoor water park there. Just got put up. And not only that, like the whole Manteca, Lathrop, Tracy, even Stockton area is just booming with logistics. There's so many warehouses being put up. I moved to the Central Valley and the Lathrop in 2015, and I personally watched a dozen big warehouses put up. And they just continue to put them up, especially Amazon facilities. Amazon's just putting up facility after facility in that area. When I worked at UPS, we had one in Patterson, 2 in Tracy, and one in Stockton, but it was actually run by XBO Logistics. And we would pick up from there. Since then, they built another one right next to XBO. They put another one out in that area by the one in Tracy, and they just continue to put up fulfillment centers all over the place. And anyway, so you take I-5 to 120 going eastbound, Highway 120 going eastbound, and from there, ooh, hello. Alright, I'm going to pass you on your right. I'm sorry, because you're out in the number 3 lane, so sorry, I'm passing a UPS guy now. So you take 120 east and then get off at Main Street. So getting in wasn't the issue today. It was more getting out. As far as driving goes, it was pretty tricky getting out today. And part of the reason why, I've only been to the Manteca store once, even though Manteca and Lathrop are neighbors, and I shop at that Manteca Walmart. I know how it is, but you don't go in the back too often, right? So being peak season, there's a lot more containers back there, dumpsters, pallets, you name it. You used to be able to come in and do an easy U-turn once you got off the dock. Well, that easy U-turn is gone, and they've made it very difficult now. So I had to pull out, start my U-turn, then back up, and then back into the little area where the pallets were, and then continue my U-turn and get out. So I was able to get out, but it wasn't the easiest thing to do today, and mainly because of the peak season and everything else. So sorry, I got another guy merging on the highway. Sorry if I'm filming and driving. You've got to pay attention to your driving, right? So I'm watching the guy in front of me merging on, and so getting there was not a problem. Once I was there, I thought, wow, this will go fast. I've been in the store once before. They handled it really good. I didn't wait very long. Not today. I was there an extended period of time, longer than I wanted to. I think it was a good hour before I even got somebody to start unloading me, which, if you know me, that irks me. I don't like to hear, oh, they're on meal. No, bull. At 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning? Come on. That's ridiculous. Oh, they come in at 5 in the morning. Yeah, I get it. Okay, well, somebody else needs to unload me then. Tell me somebody's on meal. That's ridiculous. So I got that off, and then headed over to Modesto. This store in Modesto I've been to once before as well. So Manteca and Modesto, these two stores I don't go to very often, but I've been there before. Been to a lot of stores, actually. But a lot of stores one time. Anyway, so I got to that store, and there's another driver there, which is fine. There's 3 docks, and all of them are full, and he's in one of them, and he's in the middle one, and then there's one on the right, one on the left. Obviously, he was in the middle. So I'm sitting there and I'm debating, do I go knock on the door? I hear movement. I hear somebody unloading something. I think it'd be rude for me to just go and start like pushing them, like, hey, let's go. So I figured I need to take a meal anyway. Let me go ahead and code a meal. And as I'm sitting there on my meal, the driver comes out, and he goes and it proceeds to tell me it's gonna be a little bit. And I'm like, huh? It's gonna be a little bit? What do you mean? Well, they have to finish unloading that trailer first, and then they can get to my trailer. And I'm like, what? That don't make sense. That trailer doesn't have a driver under it. They got to focus on the driver, the trailer with the driver, not the other trailer. And so I said, let me go in and talk to him. And he only had that one store in there. He didn't have any other stores. So I asked the associate, I said, is there any reason you need to hold on to this trailer? No. Well, then he's going to drop his trailer, his remix trailer, and he's going to take that empty then. And that way it'll free up the dock for me to get in. Got any problem with that? Well, let me check on it. No. Do you got any problem with that? No? Okay, that's what we're going to do. So I got him to go ahead and uncouple from his trailer and then couple to the empty and then move out of the way so I can back in. Well, didn't really, I mean, it helps, don't get me wrong. If I would have waited for these other guys to unload the 19 pallets that he had, I would have been there all day. I just know it, right? I only had 12 pallets for them, 13 pallets for them, and they took forever. I went to the one guy who I thought looks like a coach, acts like a coach, but maybe he's not a coach, I don't know. But he, I said to him, hey, is there anything that we could do to speed this process up? This is kind of ridiculous. So he makes a phone call, I guess to whomever, the manager or whomever, who had just left for the day. Isn't that convenient? And he said that they sent a bunch of associates over to the old series store to box up and move to the new series store. I don't want to hear excuses. I just want to get unloaded. Just get me unloaded. And the two gentlemen that were unloading me, they were not in any hurry to do. They did not have any pep in their step, and they didn't walk with a purpose. Wherever they were taking the pallets to the freezer must have been a long way away from the dock, because they'd be gone for 15 minutes or so each pallet. And I'm just going, are you kidding? I gotta go. My dispatch has me going back to McCarran. I gotta go. It's my go home day. I want to go. So I finally got unloaded and off I started to McCarran. Now the Raga dispatched me. I hear it come across. I check it, and it's all these stores. And I'm thinking, oh, really? You're gonna send me out to all these stores? And I about stopped. I was gonna stop and call and say, hey, you know, it's my go home day. But before I can do that, they pulled everything off of my dispatch. They went back and they removed it all. So I was good with that. Then, as it turns out, I think what they wanted to do is just put that trailer in my board, and then relay it to Sacramento. But they actually put all the legs to the stores, which is not how they should do it. They should put it as a leg to my DC, and then the dispatch coordinators in McCarran put on there that it's a relay, and that way I know it's a relay back to SAC to go home. So that's what they did, and I got there. I had to stop for. Did I have to stop for a meal? No, I didn't have to stop for a meal. I had to get a meal while I was there. So I got there around almost 6 o'clock. I want to say 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then took a meal, and or 5:15. Gosh, it might have been 5:15. And I went to meal and got out of there right around 6, because it gave me about 3.5 hours, almost 4 hours of time to get home. Now the problem with this is there was an accident on westbound 80 right out of the DC, not too far down from the DC, and I saw it on the way in, therefore I knew it was there. And they sent out a message saying take the side street to the other on-ramp, and then you can get on and miss a majority of it, not all of it, but a majority of the traffic. Well, by the time I got going, after dropping my trailer, taking a meal, getting my other trailer, getting paperwork, and getting out of there, there was a new message says, hey, traffic's flowing great now. Go ahead and be safe. Keep your head on a swivel. All right, great. So I get on the highway at USA Parkway heading west. Wouldn't you know it? There's another accident. 4 cars in the fast lane, number 1 lane, right on the shoulder now. And so we're backing up already right there. It must have just recently happened because there wasn't any first responder there, and then while we were in line or in the lanes coming real slow, fire truck was coming up on the shoulder on the right side, and yeah, so I called back to the dispatch there and said, hey, you might want to resend that message, say again, sorry, there's now another accident involving 4 cars, and first responders are on the scene, which means that if first responders are out, such as a fire truck, paramedic, probably means that somebody's reporting an injury as a result. And one of the cars got rear-ended pretty good, so I can imagine they're shook up a little bit and probably want to get checked out. So hopefully everybody's okay and everything's fine. After I got going past that, it wasn't too bad. Coming up over the Donner Pass, everything else was fine. It's amazing how and I hate to say this because I don't ever want to get comfortable, but how much more confidence you have in the road if you've been over it as many times as I have in the 7 months. And you can see the difference in somebody that doesn't go over it very often. I know where all the turns are, all the spaces and spots where you tend to pick up more speed downhill, stuff like that. So you get really accustomed to it, and which just you got to keep that in your head when the weather gets bad, because that's those spots that if you start normally picking up high speed in the rain, in the dry ground, imagine when it's slick or icy or snowy. So you got to be extra careful in those spots. So if you're out driving the same roads all the time, you've got to really assess, like, what would I do if it gets bad weather? Because you're going to have to even slow down even more in those areas, because if you tend to pick up speed in those areas and you're not doing anything, you're just on cruise control or whatever, then you got to really watch it when the weather gets bad. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. All right. So another thing that happened to me tonight that I want to talk about, and this is in McCarran. So I parked my empty trailer, and I've had really good luck lately where I guess it's just good karma or what have you, but when I've been coming in, I've been making a point of fueling my tractor and fueling the reefer while I'm there. Now I know some guys are in a hurry or what have you, or maybe they haven't been told yet, but when you come in with an empty reefer into McCarran, or probably any of the grocery DCs that have reefers, you need to top off the reefer so that it's got a full tank. And that will help, so when the next guy or girl, driver, comes to get their load, it's above 3/4 or at 3/4 of a tank. Now, if it's less than 3/4, McCarran won't let you leave. You got to get it 3/4 or full in between there to be able to leave the guard check. And they check it. They check the fuel level to make sure that it's within that range. Now, I've been making a habit this week, every time fueling my inbound empty reefer all the way to full while fueling my tractor. So I've been having very good luck with the outbound loads that have been reefers, have been 3/4 or more. Now, before, it was, okay, fill the reefer, fill your truck, go park your empty, and then you go back and get your loaded one, and it's half a tank. So now you're back at the fuel island for a second time. And so I'm hoping the message is getting out to all the drivers, like, hey, top off that tank. That way we don't all have to go back to the fuel island twice. Or some of us go to the fuel island twice. So it takes time out of your day if you have to go in there twice. So, but that's not what I really want to talk about. Is I went to get my outbound trailer, and I coupled to it. I'm doing my pre-trip. I'm walking around. I do my pre-trip clockwise. So I start around the front of the tractor, then come down the passenger side, around the rear, then back up to the driver's side. And then as I'm coming up on the driver's side, I raise my landing gear. So that's the last thing I do before getting in. Almost the last thing I do, because I check the clearance light and the front corner of the trailer to make sure there's no damage and the clearance light is working. But the handle would not come out of the slot. So during my mentoring and even during our onboarding, they told us that here at Walmart we don't stow the handle unless you're going to go on road with your trailer. If you're dropping the trailer in the yard or at a store, you leave the handle in the down position. You don't stow it into the locked position when it's just parked. Well, the previous driver that had brought this trailer in, evidently it could have been a carrier, I don't know. So one had the landing gear, and we also tell everybody to make sure you leave at least an inch or so, inch and a half. Some guys leave 2 inches of space between the landing gear feet and the ground. So that way when you back under it, you're lifting the trailer up off the ground and off the gear. Makes it so it doesn't bind on the landing gear as you're cranking it. Well, when I backed under it, I knew it was high, but not so high that I was going to high pin. I looked at it, it wasn't going to high pin, but it wasn't enough to get the landing gear to lose that tension. So the handle was all the way stowed, and I could not get the handle to come out of the slot whatsoever and crank at all. I couldn't get it out of the underneath because the wind skirt is there and it was blocking it on the reefers. So what do? Call dispatch, call automotive, hammer it. No, the hammering didn't work. Okay, phone calls. All right, hold on, wait a minute. Here's a yard goat right here. Let me go get him. So what I did is I got out from underneath it, I uncoupled, and I asked the yard goat to get under it and lift it up off the ground. So that way it freed up that tension on the landing gear, which in turn freed up the tension on the handle. And I was able to then crank the landing gear up a little bit while he had it raised, and then he put it back down, and that way when I came under it, it was about an inch off the ground when I came under it. So I don't know if anybody else has ever had that experience, but that's why we leave an inch or two, anywhere from an inch to 2 inches of gap on the landing gear foot to the floor or ground, so that your handle doesn't bind up. That's one, your landing gear doesn't bind up. Two, we leave the handle unlocked and not in the stowed position for that very reason as well, in case you have to get it out from underneath there. So just a food for thought, if you're an owner-operator and whatnot, and you have a wind skirt that's going to block the ability for that arm to swing out and everything else, which is what was happening with mine. Don't lower your landing gear all the way down. And I know that sounds like trucking 101, but unfortunately, not everybody is trained that way. So, wow, last night it wasn't bad. Tonight, it's getting bad. Last week I went home on my go home. I'm driving right now, but I went home on my go home, and it was foggy as all get out all week, and I don't think it's been this bad. And then I get going home tonight, and foggy. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. I'll talk to you guys on Friday when I come back from my days off. All right, stay safe, everyone.